entering a world shrouded in mystery, where nothing is as it first might seem. It is a sacred world where a game is being played. The year is 750 AD. We do not know the rules or how many played. But this is no ordinary contest. They played this game for their lives. More than 1,000 years ago, the men who played and the crowds who watched would all vanish, leaving the arena and all their magnificent cities empty. Today, only mysteries remain. They were called the classic Maya. They built the greatest civilization of the Americas. When Europe was still in the Dark Ages, they produced artists and scientists whose achievements still astound. When London was just a town of wood shacks and dirt streets, the Maya were building mighty cities of stone in the heart of the Central American rainforest. This is the greatest of them all, Tikal. A thriving metropolis of 40,000 people, it reached its peak around 750 AD and covered an area the size of Manhattan. Less than a century later, it stood empty.
It's a mystery that touches everyone because we're all existing in civilizations, and we feel the fragility of civilization when we see something like the Maya ruins, when you see how high a civilization can develop and achieve and how dramatically it can disintegrate. It touches each of us.
Unlike so many other civilizations, the Maya did not fall to famine, invading armies, or terrible disease. Maya cities were deserted more than destroyed. The Maya who once inhabited these streets just walked away into the forest, never to return. Today, descendants of the Maya still live in the land of their ancestors. Yet their empire is no more. But why? Why did the ancients leave their magnificent cities? It is a question that has haunted historians and archaeologists for ages. Only by exploring the deepest beliefs of a people who died 1,000 years ago can we attempt to understand who they were and why they left deserted all they'd created. The trail is cold, but clues can still be found. Clues hidden in massive pyramids of stone. Clues written in a hieroglyphic code whose secrets were almost lost forever. Clues contained in ancient tales of mighty kings and dangerous gods, in a world founded in ritual and sustained by bloody sacrifice. Tales still told by old men to children, descendants of an empire that vanished long ago. The origins of the Maya lie in the forgotten histories of the first immigrants, the Asiatic people who walked across the Bering Sea from Siberia during the last ice age and settled the Americas more than 15,000 years ago. Thousands of years would pass before the primeval Maya established themselves in the sweltering jungles of Central America. Then, in a period lasting from 250 to 900 AD, the sophisticated civilization we call the classic Maya would flourish. Hundreds of cities were built. The vast territory that is now southern Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, and Honduras became the Empire of the Maya. They thrived for more than 6 centuries. Then it was over. All across the empire, the Maya simply walked away. For almost 1,000 years, their ruins lay lost and forgotten. It wasn't until the 19th century that the world would rediscover the classic Maya. In 1839, travel writer John Lloyd Stephens and illustrator Frederick Catherwood explored the jungles of Guatemala. Their work captured the romance and mystery of the Maya world, while providing the first serious clues to the origins of this lost civilization. Explorers before them had theorized the Maya were descendants of the Greeks, a lost tribe of Egypt, or even fugitives from the mythic land of Atlantis. But these men believed otherwise.
Unless I am wrong, we have a conclusion far more wonderful than that of connecting the builders of these cities with the Egyptians, or any other people. It is the spectacle of a people possessing cultivation and refinement. John Lloyd Stephens, 1840.
Stephens understood this exotic civilization had not been developed elsewhere by others and brought across the Atlantic. The Maya, he suggested, were unique. His writings marked a turning point. A new era of exploration had begun. Adventurers and eccentrics came from all over the world. One French explorer arrived in Mexico with 4,000 pounds of luggage, and there was only one way to carry it. Not even the dense and dangerous rainforest deterred them. More than the promise of buried treasure lured these men into the unexplored reaches of Central America. They were seeking answers to the riddle of a lost civilization. They found treasure in abundance, but an understanding of the ancient Maya proved elusive. Archaeologists probed the jungle for decades, discovering great monuments in astounding profusion. Most intriguing of all, hundreds of pyramids that, like sacred mountains, reared up from the jungle floor. But the purpose of these pyramids remained a mystery. Then in 1957, it would all change. The place was the classic Maya city of Palenque. The great Mexican archaeologist, Alberto Ruz, had spent 4 years excavating the most impressive pyramid at the site, the Temple of Inscriptions. Now he stood at the threshold of discovery.
I entered the mysterious chamber with the strange sensation natural for the first one to tread the entrance steps in 1,000 years. I wanted to efface the centuries and hear the vibrations of the last human voices beneath these massive vaults. Across the impenetrable veil of time, I sought the impossible bond between their lives and ours.
In the center of the burial chamber was an enormous stone tomb. His men worked feverishly to raise its massive lid.
I was gazing at the death face of him for whom all this stupendous work, the crypt, the stairway, the great pyramid with its crowning temple, had been built.
This rare film shows Rus moments after his dramatic discovery. But a ruined skeleton and a precious jade mask only raised further questions that nobody, not even Rus, could answer. Who was he? What happened in his life that his death warranted such ceremony? Who was the man behind the jeweled mask? The Maya did leave clues, but they are cryptic, coded, and opaque. Only by deciphering this evidence can we understand the meaning of their sacred temples, the personality of the men and women who built them, and the reason for their sudden disappearance from the cities they abandoned. A century and a half ago, John Lloyd Stevens predicted that the strange, indecipherable engravings on their monument walls held the key to the mystery of the Maya. He was right, but only now, after one of the greatest code-breaking feats of all time, can the secrets of these silent stones finally be revealed. The sacred world of the classic Maya should never have become a mystery. They left, after all, an abundant written record. An independently invented writing system. Incredibly, one of only 5 produced in the history of the world. These were texts imbued with magical power, descriptions of their cosmos, chronicles of their dreams. Beautiful, fragile documents, they were a truly remarkable achievement. A unique and totally original written language, as momentous as the hieroglyphs of ancient Egypt. They bear witness to the birth of the first written language in the New World.
Esta es la letra A, B.
The importance of these texts was recognized by the first European invaders centuries ago. In 1562, a devout Catholic priest named Diego de Landa convinced one of the last surviving Maya scribes to translate the Spanish alphabet into Maya. Landa fervently wanted to bring Christianity to the Maya.
Esta es la letra A.
He felt learning their language was his best hope of reaching the people he yearned to convert.
A, B.
Landa dedicated his life to understanding the Maya and to saving their souls. Still, his memory is not revered. Rather, it is reviled.
Landa was distraught, I think, maybe even destroyed, when he discovered that people that he believed and he'd come to know had been converted to Christianity, and he found them continuing to practice pagan rituals. He lost it. He went absolutely crazy, and he began to try to root out and extirpate any remnants of ancient religion.
In a single night, this man of God burned hundreds of precious books. Books containing their science, their literature, a record of their lives. As the Maya looked on, it was as if every copy of their Bible and Constitution had gone up in flames. Throughout the Spanish conquest, thousands more texts were burned. Of the prolific output of Maya scribes, only 4 books escaped the fires to reach the present day. But 4 did remain. And from this scant evidence would come remarkable insights into ancient Maya culture. At first, only their sophisticated mathematical system was decoded. Maya math was tied closely to a complex system of astronomy. Their detailed observations of the night sky were recorded with astonishing accuracy. In the 1950s, the great Maya archaeologist Eric Thompson would conclude these were a people dedicated to studying the heavens and the meaning of time. 1,000 years before the first computer, they recorded celestial events 1/2 billion years in the past. But why such fantastically complex astronomical calculations? Thompson thought he knew. Maya society was practically utopian, he concluded. A peaceful people who worshipped time. A world run by tranquil priests and timekeepers. A place of sacred observatories devoted to the tracking of the stars. In the Maya, Thompson saw an idealized world of sacred beliefs and higher learning. His vision was as appealing as it was flawed. Certainly, the proof seemed all around him. The Maya built pyramids that were giant stone calendars and sundials. El Castillo, the Great Pyramid of Chichen Itza, has 365 steps and platforms to mark the days of the year. Their alignment and design is so precise that once each year they cast a unique shadow that records the spring equinox. Like the star charts of an astrologer, their codices mapped the positions of the stars and planets for centuries to come. The Maya calendar was unlike any other. These great gears illustrate their concept of time. The hieroglyphs on the larger wheel mark the 365 days of the solar year. Those on the two smaller gears represent the 260 days of the priest's sacred calendar. Together, this Maya time machine identifies the astrological significance of every single day. Using this calendar, Maya priests predicted the precise time and place of solar eclipses. For the average Maya, it must have seemed as if their leaders controlled the awesome power of the heavens. The accuracy of Maya astronomy still astounds. The cycles of the moon were mapped so precisely that today, 1,500 years later, their calculations are off by only 33 seconds. Even the moment of Maya creation, some 5,000 years ago, is a fixed point in the sacred calendar. Forbiddingly, so too is the end of this world. According to the Maya calendar, this cycle of creation will cease to exist at precisely 4 Ahau, 3 Kankin, Sunday, December 23rd, 2012. Today, many Maya continue to await this day with dread. In the highlands of Guatemala, the few remaining Maya shamans and the last calendar priests still calculate the passage of time based on the ancient formulas. It has not slipped one day in 25 centuries. Maya texts revealed the hidden world of their mathematics and astronomy, but other, much more startling revelations were to come. Justin Kerr is a photographer who found a way to take pictures of Maya vases as they rotate in front of his camera, effectively unrolling the continuous image painted on the vase.
When I put the vase down on the turntable and watch it turning in front of the camera, I hope it talks to me. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the message is so obscure that it's very, very hard to get to. But sometimes it reveals itself.
And those revelations have created an entirely new understanding of the ancient Maya. Kerr's photographs reveal a people obsessed with the fearful and bloody gods of the underworld, the hellish place the Maya called Xibalba.
Some of these guys are very, very gruesome. The god of decapitation, for example, is a skeletal god. He very often is holding a decapitated head either by its hair or he has them, the head in his palms. He is generally portrayed with having large volutes of stench coming out of him.
For the Maya, the underworld was an ominous place. But to our eyes, many customs and rituals in their daily lives seem equally unsettling and bizarre. Children's skulls were deliberately deformed to create the flattened brow line the Maya found so pleasing. Maya women had their teeth drilled without known anesthetics and then set with precious stones. The use of mind-altering drugs was encouraged and condoned. Powerful intoxicants were smoked.
The Maya got high. The Maya took lots of drugs, but I think their drug of preference was fundamentally alcohol. And when they were so drunk that they were throwing up, they were then taking it as an enema, which would be a very intensive, even more intoxicating effect, to take balche, or some kind of fermented drink, as an enema. They were getting incredibly drunk.
Eric Thompson was aware of such grotesque and bizarre practices, but he refused to let them alter his idealized vision of the Maya. Then American filmmaker Giles Healy ventured into the jungles of Mexico. In 1946, Healy was led to a secret ruin by a Lacandon Indian named Chan Bor. There he made a discovery that would expose a savage truth and alter forever the world's utopian vision of the ancient Maya. Chan Bor brought Healy and his camera to a Maya ruin the outside world knew nothing about.
When Giles Healy walks into this room, he's got a whole formed notion of what the Maya are like. He's imagining that they were priestly timekeepers, a few wonderful noble men, maybe like the very Yaley himself, Giles Healy, class 24. He imagines that they are going to be men like him.
Instead, what Healy found painted on the temple walls was a detailed depiction of the Maya not as peaceful stargazers, but as fierce warriors, devout believers and bloodthirsty deities, devotees of bloodletting and sacrifice. It was a portrait of the Maya that up until that moment seemed unimaginable.
I think, in fact, there is probably no more single powerful painting of warfare and of bloodletting in the world than this battle. It's full of sound and trumpets and screaming, and guys who are all painted and pumped up. Some of them are already slain, the decapitated head, this other hunk of flesh. And the key point is right over in the corner of the paintings, where this guy is ripping out the fingernails of that particular captive, and his face is collapsing. He seems to be almost burbling something out of his mouth. Maybe it's blood dripping from where they've ripped out a tooth or two. And the rest of these captives seem now sunk right into their laps, their haunches. They look at their fingers. Blood is spurting right out of them.
This was an image of the Maya neither Eric Thompson nor the world at large could easily accept. Even these shocking scenes didn't immediately overturn the cherished ideal of the peaceful Maya. It was like a parent overlooking some obvious flaw in a child.
When Giles Healy walked into this room, I'm not sure that he knew what to make of it. But when Thompson walked into this room, he didn't see warfare. He saw a nasty little raid. In fact, he even wondered what was going on. The Maya wouldn't rip out fingernails. He thought perhaps there was some pot of red paint over here that people were dipping their hands into. He was that unhappy with it.
Giles Healy eventually finished his film. He focused on the Lacandon Indians who had been his guides. Descendants of the Maya, they too were portrayed as peaceful people in total harmony with nature. About the eerie scenes of violence, not a word. Giles Healy had cleaned the grime of centuries from the Bonampak murals, but he could not bring himself to reveal the truth. It would take years before Thompson would acknowledge his mistake. But a continent away, another discovery provided a new set of clues. By pure accident, in a most unlikely setting, a new chapter in Maya history would begin. May 1945. Berlin has been invaded by the Russians. The National Library is on fire. Hitler would soon be dead and Germany defeated. From the thousands of books burning in the ruins, a Soviet officer casually plucks a random souvenir from the flames. His name is Yuri Knorosov. The book, Reproductions of Surviving Maya Codices. Knorosov immerses himself in Maya studies and the alphabet Bishop Landa had attempted to transcribe. His great breakthrough was realizing Maya hieroglyphs were much more than a simple system of numerical signs. His work was amplified by another Russian, Tatyana Proskoryakov, a superb illustrator and archaeologist. Her keen eye detected patterns in the dates carved in stone. Where others had seen only numbers and signs, Tatyana read the entire span of human lives. Based on her findings, the code breakers went to work. They began to read the carvings on temple walls like tombstones in a cemetery. Much more than mere calendars, the images commemorated the entire reigns of kings and queens. The deciphered glyphs revealed the names of Maya royalty: 18 Rabbit, Smoke Jaguar, Stormy Sky, and Lady Shellstar. The lives of these rulers, their ancestors and their conquests, all the stories locked within the glyphs, could finally be told. 15 years after discovering the skeleton with the jade mask, Alberto Rus would now learn his identity. He was Lord Pakal, king of the city-state Palenque. The 10th in a line of rulers that stretched back 3 centuries. He ruled for almost 70 years. Lord Pakal was one of the most powerful kings in the history of the Americas. These were monarchs who commanded complex cities, large populations, and vast areas of land. They ruled over their citizens with arrogance and disdain. But what was the source of their authority? Why did their subjects submit to such tyrannical rule?
We keep looking for the underlying source of the power of the kings, searching for economic and political and military power on a fairly grand scale. But the power isn't based in controlling resources or manipulating the economy or mounting large armies. It's based upon belief. That is the power of the Maya kings, and it was a great one, and it achieved great things.
The power of the Maya kings. To understand it, we must follow a trail of blood. A knife made from a stingray's spine. A rope of thorns. These are the keys to comprehending the Maya and the sacred power of their kings. Every portal of every Maya temple is a doorway to the underworld. Inside this temple, it is the duty of both king and queen to reenact the mythical moment of Maya creation. In myth, it was the blood of gods that gave life to man. This was the original act of sacrifice. On earth, the king is as a god. And blood is the price of power, the debt to the gods that must be repaid. Myths and symbols will not suffice. Blood must be shed. And royal blood, drawn from the tongue and from the genitals, from his queen and from himself, forever bound that sacrifice of the gods to the life of man. As his subjects watch, the bloody sacrament of the king spirals upwards to the gods. In return for the sacrifice of royal blood, the crowd believes, the gods will cause the sun to rise, the rains to fall, the corn to grow. For art historian Linda Sheely, these macabre bloodletting rituals provide the final key to understanding the Maya.
In the New World, people believe that your soul, the most potent part of you, the part that's indestructible, the part that you will pass on to your grandchildren and to your great-grandchildren, the thing that is eternal resides in your blood. So if you wish to give an offering that is the most precious and powerful thing on earth, you give your blood. When the king gives his blood, he's first of all giving the most powerful substance on earth, because his blood, because of his ancestry, because of where he comes from, because of the amount of times that he travels to the other world and comes back, his blood is more potent than an ordinary person's.
Remember that the kings had to do rituals of genital bloodletting and self-laceration on a regular basis. So that kind of keeps you honest, you know. I think if we had some genital bloodletting in modern politics, it would thin out the herd and might be a good approach to finding the honest politicians.
In fact, all Maya gave offerings of their blood.
The difference between them and us is we have it easy. We say you can tithe. You can give money out of your pocket. You can give something that doesn't hurt, something that really doesn't cost you anything. The Maya don't let you make that sort of surrogate sacrifice. You really have to give the blood.
And there were other even bloodier offerings. Skull racks commemorate war captives sacrificed to ensure the continuity of the Maya world. Even the ball game served a deadly purpose. The contest, in fact, is not a game at all. Its losers were sacrificed to the gods. The Maya reveled in this terror, even recording the brutality for posterity. This sacrificial victim still emits an eternal howl of unimaginable pain. He has been scalped, disemboweled, his hands and feet mangled. The wood bound to his back is ready for the torch. Today, Maya shamans still practice blood sacrifice. But now it is the blood of chickens that is shed. The ancient faith is intact, but only as a pale reflection of the rites and ceremonies of the classic Maya. Sacramental blood still feeds the Maya imagination, but the context of belief has changed. Christianity may have been forced upon the Maya, but once there, it struck a deep and lasting chord. The Christian concept of a divine king who shed his blood for the benefit of mankind made perfect sense to them. For the ancient Maya, the blood of kings was the mortar that bound all life together. The king's sacrifice ensured the stability of the Maya world, guaranteeing the sanction of the gods and the belief of the people. He stood at the center of the Maya universe. Remove the king, and the whole system comes crashing down. For Arthur Demarest, the crisis for the classic Maya began the moment they lost faith in their kings.
The source of power is this ritual, this display, the ceremony, the theater, the charisma. And when real problems occur, when a military defeat occurs, even between centers, it can be devastating in a way that it shouldn't have to be. But the authority is based upon belief in the king. And failure is unacceptable. If this really is a holy lord who can manipulate the forces of the universe, then failure undermines the whole system and it can't be adjusted for.
The problems Maya kings faced as their authority eroded were not unique, but their solution was more ritual, more sacrifice, more blood. But it didn't work.
And you can genitally bloodlet and you can build temples as high as you want. It isn't going to make the soil thicker. It isn't going to stop erosion. It's not going to prevent invading enemies from winning because they have better weapons or tactics.
And eventually there were losses in war. Overpopulation in cities, failures of crops, and ultimately the king was responsible. If the blood of the king held the world together, when that world fell apart, it was the king's blood that had failed them.
When you begin to understand from the inside the way the Maya thought and the way their civilization was constructed, it's amazing that they maintained it for as long as they did. The mystery should not be the mystery of the Maya collapse, but the mystery of how the Maya for 2,000 years maintained this impressive civilization.
The Maya, they rose stone by stone out of the jungle, self-made and self-contained, unique and wholly original in all the world. But ultimately, the great dynasties and the great achievements of the Maya kings and queens, all their formidable powers, were built upon the faith of the people. And when crops failed or enemies prevailed, the people no longer believed. And when the people lost faith, the rulers lost power. And when that power vanished, the Maya abandoned their great cities, and the jungle reclaimed its stone.